The United States, a nation founded on principles of liberty and justice for all, faces a critical juncture in its journey towards equality. Transgender Americans, a marginalized community striving for recognition and acceptance, find themselves at the heart of a heated debate. This essay delves into the multifaceted challenges confronting transgender individuals in the USA, examining the impact of discriminatory legislation on their lives. This is not merely an academic discussion, it's about real people. Transgender individuals are our neighbors, colleagues, friends, and family members. They deserve the same rights and protections afforded to every citizen, yet they are increasingly targeted by legislation that seeks to limit their access to essential spaces and services. These legislative actions not only violate fundamental rights, but also inflict significant harm on an already vulnerable population. This essay will explore specific legislative measures, such as restrictions on restroom access and bans on gender-affirming healthcare. We will examine the evolving dynamics of public opinion on these issues, highlighting the increasing polarization and the urgent need for empathy and understanding. Legal battles, like the landmark case of United States v. Skrmetti, provide crucial insights into the ongoing struggle for transgender rights within the judicial system. Ultimately, this essay serves as a call to action. By understanding the challenges faced by transgender Americans, we can work together to create a more just and equitable society for all. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that the promise of equality, enshrined in the fabric of our nation, extends to every individual, regardless of their gender identity. The battle over restroom access may seem trivial to some, but it strikes at the heart of transgender identity and safety. For transgender individuals, using the restroom that aligns with their gender identity is not a matter of preference. It is a fundamental human need. Denying them this basic right is dehumanizing and perpetuates a culture of fear and exclusion. Imagine the anxiety and discomfort of being forced to use a restroom that does not correspond with your gender identity. This seemingly simple act becomes fraught with potential danger. Transgender individuals risk harassment, verbal abuse, and even physical violence when subjected to such discriminatory policies. Furthermore, these laws are often based on misinformation and harmful stereotypes. They promote the false narrative that transgender individuals pose a threat to others, particularly women and children. This fear-mongering is not only baseless, but also serves to further marginalize and demonize an entire community. Restricting restroom access is not about safety, it is about control. It is a blatant attempt to erase transgender identities and deny their existence in public spaces. We must challenge these discriminatory laws and affirm the right of all individuals to exist freely and authentically. Access to appropriate healthcare is essential for the well-being of all individuals, and transgender people are no exception. However, in recent years, there has been a disturbing trend of legislative attacks on gender-affirming healthcare, particularly for transgender youth. These attacks manifest in various forms, from outright bans on certain medical procedures to restrictions on insurance coverage for gender-affirming care. Some states have even gone so far as to criminalize healthcare providers who offer these services to minors, putting them at risk of legal repercussions and professional censure. The impact of these legislative measures on transgender youth is devastating. Denying them access to age-appropriate, medically necessary care can have severe consequences for their physical and mental health. It can lead to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and even suicide. Moreover, these laws are often based on a fundamental misunderstanding of gender identity and the nature of gender-affirming care. They ignore the consensus of major medical organizations, which recognize the medical necessity and life-saving potential of these treatments. By restricting access to healthcare, these laws send a dangerous message to transgender youth, that their identities are not valid and their health is not a priority. We must oppose these harmful measures and ensure that all transgender individuals have access to the care they need to live healthy and fulfilling lives. Section 4. Public Perception, a Shifting Landscape. Public opinion on transgender rights is complex and constantly evolving. While there has been growing visibility and acceptance of transgender people in recent years, there is also a significant segment of society that remains resistant to change. This is reflected in the mixed views on issues such as bathroom access, healthcare, and participation in sports. According to recent polls, a majority of Americans support laws that protect transgender people from discrimination in areas such as employment, housing, and public accommodations. However, there is less support for specific policies such as allowing transgender individuals to use the restroom that aligns with their gender identity or compete in sports according to their gender identity. This disparity in public opinion highlights the need for greater education and understanding of transgender issues. Many people lack accurate information about what it means to be transgender and the challenges faced by this community. This lack of knowledge can lead to fear, prejudice, and ultimately, support for discriminatory policies. It is also important to acknowledge the role that misinformation and harmful stereotypes play in shaping public perception. Anti-transgender activists often spread false narratives about transgender people, portraying them as dangerous or mentally unstable. These harmful stereotypes can have a significant impact on public opinion, particularly among those who have limited personal experience with transgender individuals. Despite the challenges, it is encouraging to note that public opinion is shifting in a more positive direction, particularly among younger generations. As more people come to know and understand transgender individuals, we can hope for a future where transgender rights are universally recognized and respected. Section 5. United States v. Skrmetti, a legal battleground. The legal landscape for transgender rights in the United States is constantly evolving, with numerous cases winding their way through the courts. One such case, United States v. Skrmetti, has emerged as a pivotal battleground, with far-reaching implications for transgender rights nationwide. This landmark case centers around the constitutionality of Tennessee's Senate Bill 1, a law that bans gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The plaintiffs, including the federal government and the American Civil Liberties Union, argue that SB 1 violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment by discriminating against transgender youth. The defendants, on the other hand, maintain that SB 1 is a legitimate exercise of the state's power to regulate healthcare. They argue that the law is necessary to protect children from making irreversible decisions about their bodies. The outcome of United States v. Skrmetti could have significant implications for transgender rights across the country. If the court rules in favor of the plaintiffs, it could set a precedent for striking down similar bans on gender-affirming care in other states. Conversely, a ruling in favor of the defendants could embolden other states to enact their own discriminatory laws. This case highlights the critical role that the judicial system plays in protecting the rights of marginalized communities. As the legal battle over transgender rights continues, it is essential that we remain vigilant in our defense of equality and justice for all.